underway with our main event.
Oh, that's a very stiff cross coming and a nice leg kick from Ryan Dickson. And you can see that right hand loaded up for days.
Dickson pacing right now, following him in. Marsh with a little bit of a reach advantage, it seems. Jimmy able to get in and land a jab.
Good head movement.
Both fighters, again, a little tentative, and you start to see that, of course, when you've got the more experienced fighters. Of course, they're not going to come out and start throwing from the hips, as it were.
Good punching so far. A nice jab and then a nice hook there from CJ Marsh. So good striking and then a right hook right after.
Has some nice punches being thrown there, and you can already see a little bit of the damage, a bit of a red spot on the face of Dickson, trying the takedown, trying to time it and having to slide away. CJ Marsh landing another couple punches, some nice takedown defense too.
Good takedown defense by CJ Marsh. Very impressive so far, just shortly in 35 seconds remaining. 3 minutes, 35 seconds remaining.
Thank
it's
you.
A long night.
I wondered if we stepped into a time machine. So Ryan Dickson landing another nice leg kick there. As they keep going forward, Jimmy, changing a nice jab for jab combo there as Marsh came in with the right hand. And now Dickson trying to chase Marsh around. Marsh very quick on his feet there.
He is very fast on his feet, and he needs to be because Dickson has a lot of power, and that's a nice punch. And you look at where most of these punches are landing, very low on the jaw of Ryan Dickson, and it's almost like CJ Marsh is aiming for the neck, and that is where the one that just landed is, and that is a mean leg kick from Ryan Dickson. We talk about his power.
Yeah, collapsing the legs of CJ Marsh together, and looks like a little bit of blood now coming from the nose of Ryan Dickson.
Dickson switching stances now, being able to throw equally with both hands.
Again, finding the pace, finding the spot, measuring the first round, looking for that big strike, and yeah, you can see it, Jeremy. He's got that right hand loaded pretty much at all times. It's back there and ready.
Now the hands opening up, trying to see if he can start to counter the attacks from CJ Marsh. A nice kick there.
Yeah, Marsh just getting out of the way, getting skinny up against the cage to get out of the way of that one.
Good combo, didn't land, but this is something to set up for the later on in the fight. A smart fighter like Ryan Dickson is trying to find the range and see where he needs to be able to land against CJ Marsh and how he's going to deal with those combos as they're thrown.
Kick thrown from Marsh also doesn't. Marsh's father, a former NFL lineman, first round draft pick, played for the Oakland Raiders. That's a big punch right there.
I asked Marsh if he was a Raiders fan. He said by default.
Nice takedown there from Ryan Dickson as he moves forward. Marsh, some nice defense. Dickson trying to get out now into a half guard. Continuing to move now into side control. Some very nice moves there to get into side control.
Excellent passing by Ryan Dickson. And Ryan Dickson does not have the longest reach. And where that comes into advantage is on the ground because he doesn't have to go very far and make much distance to damage his opponent in CJ Marsh. And Ryan Dickson so far, and both CJ Marsh as well, showing they are both three-phase fighters, able to do all three phases excellently here in our main event.
CJ Marsh trying to sneak out the bottom, unable to do so. Dickson still in the half guard of Marsh.
Good job, buddy.
Now landing punches to the midsection on the far side. Trying to pass into the mount, now is in the mount.
Dangerous position here. And now switches to an armbar. Lots of pressure on him, but good turning by CJ Marsh, able to come out of it. And we talked about the three phases. That was an excellent armbar and excellent defense on that side.
And crowd showing their appreciation of it as just 10 seconds remaining in round number one.
And the one thing that we can say about these Calgary crowds is we've had so many events here, they're starting to appreciate
both fighters eagerly waiting to get out of their corners. And as a result, they meet in the center of the cage, touch gloves again, and we are back underway.
Nice kick there from CJ Marsh, and you got to know that his cornerman would have said, hey, you've got the advantage when you stay to the outside, so let's strike and move and get out of the way. And there's another big leg kick by Ryan Dickson.
Yeah, you can start to see the footprint from Ryan Dickson on that thigh of CJ Marsh, and that's not going to help it at all.
Well, it slows him down, that's for sure, as that lead leg is really required to have those big things, and now he's hitting the inside of that leg, so throwing kicks from all angles is Ryan Dickson.
You can see Dickson faking the throw. Nice left, following it up with a right. CJ Marsh trying to get in. And Ryan Dickson weathering the storm. We know CJ Marsh has punching power. I mean, you can see Dixon's head going side to side. You can see the damage that these punches are doing evident on Dixon's face as the cut opens up beside his eye, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down at all, Jerry.
Well, and Dickson in his last fight that he lost was bleeding all over the place and still was able to take that to a split decision. So perhaps just one of those things that he's a fighter that bleeds. George St. Pierre, very famous for being a bleeding fighter. But don't take anything away from the damage that CJ Marsh is doing to the face of Ryan Dickson, and that makes bones in the judges' eyes.
Yeah, and it's starting to puff up on the right-hand side of his face, too. That may be a concern going forward for him. But you know that that's where CJ Marsh is targeting.
That was a heck of a jab
right there. Knocking his head backwards with the jab. And then again, throwing another big hook. And Dickson, I mean, full credit, still coming forward. CJ Marsh staggers him with another left hand, and he's throwing with everything he's got.
Anybody watching this fight at home who is getting into MMA, watch the striking from CJ Marsh. He's not throwing everything he has in that punch, but every one of those punches is landing square on the chin or the face of Ryan Dickson.
Yeah, Ryan Dickson, the right side of his face is starting to resemble a packet of hamburger here. CJ Marsh has done a superb job at striking so far, but credit Dickson, still coming forward, still throwing kicks, still getting in there, ready to throw punches. I mean, Dixon's been cutting off the ring. CJ Marsh has been doing laps around the outside of the cage for the entire fight.
Well, and a pro the caliber of Ryan Dickson knows he has to get inside, and if that means eating a few punches to do it, to be able to be effective against this longer fighter, he's going to do it. And Dickson really needs to get inside that reach and slow down CJ Marsh, because CJ Marsh won't engage. The only time he engages is when he's able to land a shot. And wow, that was a well-timed shot and great defense. I'm just going to put my pen.
Yeah, CJ Marsh is doing excellent work here at avoiding, doing an excellent job of being the counter-striker, finding his spot and counter-striking very effectively. And Ryan Dickson's still coming forward, but when there's an opening, CJ Marsh is putting his fist through it.
One around, buddy, one around. Remember, one
Just over a minute 30 remaining in round two. And if you look at the faces of these two fighters, you can tell how round two has gone, with Ryan Dickson eating the majority of the punishment from the quick hands of CJ Marsh.
And a nice shot there, very quick shot in and going for the double and securing the takedown here with a minute to go. A nice takedown, finds the double upside against the cage, throws those hands right underneath his butt and takes him down.
We mentioned earlier on in the night with the fight between Mike Scamora and George De La Rosa, Brock University and their wrestling program, and working there is Ryan Dickson. He works every day with Evan McDonald, who represented Canada at the Olympics in freestyle wrestling. So those shots come with authority, and if he's able to secure those against those guys, imagine how he's doing here. Very good position here for Ryan Dickson with 40 seconds remaining.
Yeah, on top in the mount, up against the cage, and able to drop punches into the face. And maybe Jeremy saving the round here for himself if he can continue to do damage from up top. Maybe securing the second round after a round where he kind of chased and ate a lot of punches.
And trying to take the back, and now isolate an arm. He's got an arm isolated again. Now the armbar sight and an immediate tap, and Ryan Dickson put a hell of an armbar, and CJ Marsh unable to escape. And this is something so unique in MMA here. He tapped him out, he was frustrated, and the first thing they did is say, wow, that was a heck of a fight. They knew they were a part of a great fight.